Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sringitun, and I'm from Radhi Sakten constituency under the Dashkan district in the far eastern Bhutan. But before that, I just wanted to clarify that I came here today as a private individual, as a very concerned rural voters. So I would highly appreciate if you can kindly refrain yourself from asking questions directly towards my institution that I work. Thank you very much. Before I take you to my constituency, maybe like when did you notice that Bhutan went into a very progressive development since when? Uh, okay, since love? Yeah, that's true. That's true. But in a very recent memory, I would say that since the political transition from democratic constitution, from hereditary monarchy to democratic constitutional monarchy, we have seen a very progressive modern development. That is in my recent memory, in my generation. Mostly I grew up in the rural area, but yeah. So with that, yes, thanks to democracy, it has brought like amazing development in the rural areas, not only in the urban, but very prominent development in the rural areas, because most of our rural communities had for the first time access to modern facilities, technologies, school, mobile connectivity, and all that has empowered them. And that is amazing, right? End of the story. But no, although like if you keep on eating medicine for a long time, there is a side effect. And similarly, with the development of progressive, yeah, with having a progressive development, we definitely have a shadow of a side effect. So that's what why I'm here today to share my unique journey of democratic rural Bhutan, to share on what I and the voters from my constituency think that democracy has brought. Earlier we had talked about the biodemocracy, about having environment and all, but I believe that we also need to include the cultural aspect in the biodemocracy, if I am not wrong. So yes, so the reason that I did was because interestingly, I didn't grow up with the democratization in rural Bhutan, neither in urban areas, because I had to go for my undergraduate studies in 2009 to Bangladesh and could return back for long only in 2017. But good thing was I was able to come back in every summer, almost every summer, to conduct my summer research in my communities in Radhi and Sakting and all. And that was the thing, that gave me the opportunity to notice the differences in my community. Like sometimes it's good to stay out and come back and notice the difference. And I saw that people were divided along the party line and along the Thokpa line. I think I'm sure you might have noticed that one. They say like your name is no more your identity. You are identified based on the parties that you support, and that was amazing. But for me, I was really concerned. Like it actually hurt me to the point that I had to conduct my field research, and I didn't like it. Like although democracy has brought the development in the rural area, living standard has improved, but I was questioning the sustainability of democracy in the rural area if we do not do something. And I, out of genuine concern and curiosity and care, I conducted my research, empirical research, qualitative research in this constituency, and would share the story through this. Yes, so I conducted my research in the Radhi Sakting constituency. I'm from Radhi, that is more yellow area. So I took this as my comparative studies, like Radhi, Phongmi versus Merak Sakting. And yes, I wanted to know why people are party polarized in a way, why voters are divided along the party lines in some region and not in others. So it was not equally polarized, but unevenly. There is a variation in the polarization. So with that, I took this comparative study of Radhi, and for me was via Merak and Sakten, because firstly I grew up there, I know their culture, pre-political transition and after, I noticed their behavior. And of course, Phongmi and Radhi are located in the lowland, while they are farmers, and then Merak and Sakting are located in a highland and they are herders. So this would give me a perfect comparative study. So in 2013, right after the election of 2013, I was privileged to conduct my empirical research and collected data through interviews, my own observation and interaction with communities. And I interviewed both the local leaders from all these 4 kiosk and local voters. through my interview, I wanted to understand their economic perspective, cultural, religious activities, and even their general opinion on the outcome of the democracy. So yes, I conducted my research. I even walked through Nakchungla with my father that was 4,000 meters above, and based on the data that I collected, I came up with two hypotheses. One was, I noticed, and that is the opinion of, that is the voices of my voters from my constituency. So they think that, based on my analysis, when there is a low modernization in area, then the party polarization tend to increase, in the sense there is higher tendency that voters will divided along the party lines, and the vice versa. So if there is a higher modernization, then less level of party polarization. And hypothesis two is occupational differences. If, depending on the nature of the occupation, the variation of the party polarization differs. So I really wanted to understand the community relationship through taking party polarization as my proxy dependent variable from the occupation modernization. So the finding is that, yes, in my hypothesis one, I noticed that when there is a high level of modernization, there is lesser chances of people being divided along the party lines. For example, Radi and Phomi Gyok. Early development has started in this community. They have early access to infrastructure, technologies like television, electricity, and schools. And these have empowered people, like have created self-sufficiency to the community, and that has created a less party polarization. PP means party polarization. This is because, as I said before, that Chokpas were believed. Chokpas means, by the way, the local party workers, who I believe were appointed to assist the political campaign, if I'm not wrong. But based on my community's voters, they say that party workers like Chokpas are the one who plays active role in dividing people along the parties. So I believe that this has created less social hierarchy, less hierarchy in the Rati community, and that has given less power for the Chokpas to polarize them. So that's why I said that party polarization is little less. I'm not saying it's zero. And then in case of the Merak, they had like the development in Merak and Saktin, major development started only in after the political transition. Like after that, only they had access to electricity. When I went there first in 2011, they did not have electricity, so they came later. And then mobile connectivity, safe drinking water, and awareness on health and education. And this is interesting. There's development, but there should, based on my first case, there shouldn't be any polarization. I mean, reduce polarization, but no. This is because this late development seems to have reinforced the power hierarchy there, because only the literate and higher socio-economic status people seems to have benefited this one, have taken the advantage, privilege of this one, while the poor people and poor majority of major illiterate voters tend to just escape from the poverty. That is, for example, if I illustrate, before 2008, they had to make 120 days of community services called WULA, and that means like they were kind of structurally povertized, in the sense they had to dedicate one member for this one. After the cancellation of that one, then it was a big uplift for the rural poor, and they just started to come up, but still they were illiterate. So that has reinforced the power hierarchy and gave power for the Chokpas of local party workers to, have influence in their ideas and ideologies, and that has increased the party polarization. And regarding the next hypothesis, I found out that herders, the nature of their occupations, have higher level to be polarized compared to the farmers. This is because Merak and Sakting are semi-nomadic in the way they herd their yak and all. So they are nomadic lifestyle, in the sense they spend most of their time outside of their communities. They live most of the time in the highland or lowland and stay in their community only during the seasonal movement, 2 to 3 months, for community services and all. And that has given them the less time and space to interact. And they trade only with the co-partners like in Radi, Phomi, Lowerland, or Tashkang town, or higher in Arunachal Pradesh, and not really with their communities. So what I'm trying to say is here, their semi-nomadic nature and trading system has rather like limited their space to come together, cooperate, or to develop or communicate, like have an intellectual political debates, especially during the election. So that has made the voters to listen to only one particular I don't know, chokpas or party workers, and that they do not, because they do not have a space to interact, they are kind of polarized. So that has increased the party polarization. On the other hand, in Radi and Phomi Gyok, by nature, by occupation, they are farmers, which means they do community farming. So a household of 4 to 5 would come together and work for 7 to 8 months, which is a long. And then they have, like during the winter, they have called groups. So around 18 to 19 households would come together and work together for cash crop, thanks to subsidized seedlings and mechanized, subsidized machines and all. And that. And also they have called Shinang Tsokpa. So if I translate, they have a community to help the deceased home. Basically, like nearby 2 to 3 villages would come together and contribute like labor and monetary time. In that way, all these frequency of religious activities and all have given them the space to come together, communicate, cooperate, and develop their ties irrespective of their political affiliation. And that has, stabilized their kind of political division and all, and party polarization is a little lower compared to the Madagascar thing. Okay, thank you very much. And yes, so to conclude, what I notice is, as a genuine concerned reporter, we are at the crossroad. Development is amazing. I'm not against development, thanks to the democracy. It has improved the living standard. It has actually empowered the local voters. And according to the interviewees, interviewees of my local leaders, they say like compared to before, they know their rights. Now we are silent because they talk the most. So that was interesting. But what I would say is development is there, inevitable. So you see a road has come to Sakting now. Before I worked for 2 days with mule when I went for my projects. But how can we preserve our cultural identity? How can we preserve our community vitality? I think that is a question of, it's not one's responsibility. As a responsible voters, as a politician, as a leader, policymakers, we all are responsible to have a development thanks to the democracy, because progressive development is inevitable in this democratic era. But we also need to strategically and critically think of balancing this one, how to create our own transition of democracy in the rural area at the national level. So thank you very much for your passion.